Kids, don't try this at home. Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on this, the M1010 Ambulance that I have. We're going to be installing a Solargizer on it. And I bought this thing 10 years ago and finally getting around to installing it. What this does is this is going to mount on the hood right over there, and it's going to go ahead and keep my batteries maintained. This vehicle here doesn't get driven very often, and so in order to keep the batteries maintained, I've got to go ahead and put something on there because it will drain the batteries down, and it doesn't take all that long to do it. So any rate, let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, as I was filming this, or after I got done filming this, I realized that there's probably going to be some questions. This is not a paid promotion from Solargizer, from the company that makes these things. I bought this thing for this truck years ago before I even thought about starting this YouTube channel. But one of the other things, to avoid any confusion, these things will not charge dead batteries. The only thing that they're here for is battery maintenance, to go ahead and keep it charged, keep a fully charged battery charged. It won't go ahead and charge dead batteries. If you've got batteries that are on their last legs, it will not keep them from dying. So these Solargizers are to be used in conjunction with good fresh batteries, up-to-date batteries, and batteries that have a good charge on them. So at any rate, back to the video. For those that are unfamiliar with these Cuckvy electrical systems, they're a 24-volt start, and but a lot of the accessories on it are 12-volt. So normally you would have one battery here, one battery down here, and on the ambulances you had a 24-volt alternator here and a 24-volt alternator here. And over on the other side, where close to where the washer tank is, was a voltage converter, and I mean, it was an absolute nightmare. The things never worked very well when they were brand new. The one that I had was burnt out when I got it. I found a replacement, I put it on there, and it was burnt out as well. So what we did was we got this out of a, I think this is out of an earlier FM TV, and it is a 100 amp 24 to 12 volt converter. So I have there's the negative here, there's the 24 volt in, and then these lines here out are for the 24 volt out. For those that are familiar, normally right back here you had a huge resistor that supplied that took the 24 volts and dropped it down to 12 volts for the glow plugs. And so what I did was, you can see that solenoid right over there is your glow plug solenoid. And when that resistor burns out, it blows all your glow plugs up instantly. And that's what happened. So rather than try to find another one of those big old resistors, I just ran this power lead here to the, this goes over to the solenoid for the glow plugs. And then these two other lines are 12 volt power lines for the vehicle. This works out so much better, and I could pull one of the 24 volt generators or alternators off so that I could keep it for a spare, because those things are not cheap when you can find them. So at any rate, but the main focus for today is to get the Solargizer installed. So let's go ahead and get started on that. All right, the first thing we're going to want to do, first thing you always want to do whenever you're working with electrical stuff on your vehicle, is pull your negative cable, get your batteries disconnected. So there, now we have the batteries disconnected. We can go ahead and open up the box here, and we'll get the hardware out, and we have to find what we did with the instruction sheet. I'll be back. Okay, we're going to end up mounting this thing probably right up in this area here. You can see we've got it all unboxed and freaking wires everywhere. But the thing is going to mount about like this, obviously on the other side. But we need to locate where we're going to go ahead and fish the first hole through, the hole where the wires are going to come through. And they're going to end up coming through a grommet. And let's get a little, find a little tray to put this stuff in. All right, here we go. If you don't have a couple of these for helping you organize your stuff while you're working on things, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go get some. There's a couple of ways that you can mount these things. They do have a kind of like a Velcro deal. I would not recommend that. So we are going to go ahead and figure out that our grommet here, it looks to be about a 1/4 inch hole. So we're going to go ahead and mark on the hood, on the inside here, about where we want this, because what we don't want is we don't want any of these 4 mounting holes to be popping through in this area here. That way, you know, we're not having to dodge all these supports to go ahead and mount this thing. So we'll go ahead and mark that one right there. And I like using these step drills, especially for sheet metal. Okay. The other thing that's nice about these step drills is you can take them, and you see how it kicks up that burr right there. You can take these, just hit them right there, and it knocks the burr right off the hole. So now we're going to make sure that our grommet fits through that hole. It may need to go a little bit bigger. Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's go get a pair of calipers and measure that. All right, we've got our digital calipers here. For those of you that don't know, which is probably most of you, I have an extensive machining background. We've had a family machine shop since before I was born, and so I have been working in and around a machine shop since I was old enough to stand in front of the machines. Well, at any rate, we'll measure this, and this measures out about 5/16. 0.307, 0.312 is 5/16. So at any rate, basically we have to go up a couple more notches with this hole here. It's at 1/4 inch right now. There we go. Deburr the backside. Always best to start a little bit small on the holes so you don't end up with a 1/2 inch hole when you really need a 3/8 hole. We'll go ahead and get this grommet stuffed up in here. Now what the grommet is for running your wires through the hood. So we are going to have to trim these wires short because we have probably about 10 feet of wire here going from the solar panel back down. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut the wires probably right about here and feed them through the grommet so we can mark our holes to go ahead and drill for the mounting screws. We're going to go ahead and cut that right there. Now it is very important that you do this operation first before you go ahead and hook anything, the charging, this is a charge controller. You need to make sure that this is not hooked up to your batteries at all when you cut these wires. So we're going to end up feeding these wires through here. Like I said, we're going to be doing. Oh, it popped the grommet out. That's okay. We've got this located where we want it. And then we'll go ahead and get our marker here. Mark our holes. Now these are the mounting screws that they supplied. Well, that one's on the ground now. They don't supply any nuts or anything else like that for it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go find some 1032 screws and the nylon locking nuts to go ahead and secure this on. So because we're going to be using 1032s, we're only going to be opening up this hole to 3/16, which is where? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you go ahead and okay, I think 4 of them was good enough. Yeah, I must have miscounted. At any rate, we're using stainless steel screws and stainless steel nylon locking nuts. So what we'll do now is we'll get our grommet put back in. I'm going to take one of our screws, run them through from this side, and make sure that everything else is lining up. And it appears to be. The nice thing with the 3/16 with the 1032 screws is that you'll have a little bit of room if you get these holes drilled a little bit cockeyed or a little bit off. It's not a big deal. back side here and knock the burrs off. Okay, now that we've got the holes all drilled, let's grab 4 of these screws. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of the nuts. We'll get the wire started through the grommet. Panel put onto the hood. Drop our screws through the holes. And then get the nuts started on the back side. Let's go find us a 3/8 wrench and a screw gun. You don't want to tighten these things down too tight. You don't want to break the solar panel. That's the nice thing about the locking nuts, is you don't have to get it down real tight for the nuts to stay tight. So I would recommend, if you have any one of these kits, to go ahead and replace these screws with stainless steel screws and nylon locking nuts. Now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and pull our wire through and get it down there tight. There we go, we got the solar panel installed. Alright, the next thing we've got to get installed, and got to get all the dadgum wires away from the tripod for the camera. We've got to get the control box, and we're going to install the control box right here. We're going to use the same stainless steel screws, so we're going to mark the hole here. And we can get around behind this this panel here, or this reinforcement, inner fender reinforcement, to get to the nuts, so that won't be an issue. So we're going to go ahead and get this marked to install right about here. And instead of marking both of the holes, we're going to mark one hole first. And drill it. Unfortunately, can't get around on the back side to this one here, so we're just going to have to live with the burrs. So we're going to take this one, get this one installed first. And then, I think, yeah, no, we got enough room. And then we'll go ahead and get this hole started. Move it out of the way, that way we know that we're getting the hole in the right location. There we go. Now that that's mounted, we have to go ahead and separate our wires out. This is the setup, the wires with the ends that go to the battery, and this other one goes back up to here. Okay. Now we need to go ahead and get the wires from the solar panel routed, and we're going to go ahead and just go through these two little holes here, and we're going to zippy tie them up and then route them down through here. But we need to go ahead and cut this set of wires shorter. So we're going to go ahead and probably give it a little bit of slack, but not an awful lot. We don't want a big rat's nest of wires down in here. So we're going to take these and cut them right about there. And then the rest of the wire can go lay on the ground for a little while. And then split them so we got room to work with. I think these are about 14 gauge wires. How about 16 gauge wires? Okay, maybe even smaller than that. We're going to strip the wires back, and then we're going to grab a piece of heat shrink tubing and we're going to wrap we're going to go ahead and cut it so it's about yay long. Slide it down over the positive side so that it'll stick out there. And then we'll do the same thing on this end. But we don't have to split it back quite as far. Strip about the same amount of wire off, or about the same amount of insulation off of both sides. And then we're going to take a larger piece of heat shrink and slip that down over both wires and just get it up and out of the way. Now we're going to go ahead and twist these together. And it helps to have some pliers or something to go ahead and hold this stuff together, but I don't have anything like that, so just kind of get them set so they're not going to go anywhere. And then get in here with your soldering gun and solder the wires together. I don't particularly like using butt splices. Crimp-on splices have a tendency to fail, especially in a high vibration application like a vehicle, and especially one that gets used off-road a lot. And that was the whole purpose of buying this ambulance, was so that I had something that I could go camping with down, you know, secondary and you know, gravel roads, and some off-road stuff. This is not a trail rig by any stretch of the imagination, but these things do make, you know, can be made into decent overland rigs. These, you know, these trucks are expensive nowadays, but compared to going ahead and buying a brand new pickup truck, they're you know, a fraction of the cost. And they are 1 1/4 ton trucks, so they have, you know, heavy duty axles on them. Alright, now we got a little bit too much of a blob of solder on that, so I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that off. There we go. Now go ahead and slip your heat shrink over this splice here, and I guess we need to get something to heat that up, to shrink that down with. Okay, I used to have a nice little butane torch for going ahead and doing this, but I have no idea where it is. I don't smoke, so I don't have a bunch of cigarette lighters around, so this is going to have to do. Careful doing this. Also, don't lay your propane torch or butane torch or MAP gas torch or whatever it is down in the engine compartment where there might be live batteries. So, at any rate, next thing we're going to do is go ahead and get our negative wires soldered together. Now, like I said, you can use, you know, butt splices if you so desire, but I would highly recommend, if you do use a crimp-on butt splice, wrap it real good with electrical tape or something like that to go ahead and keep it, you know, keep everything together in case you're, you know, in case that joint fails. Once you get that done, then take your bigger piece of heat shrink and get that brought down over the two of them. And whoops. Uh-oh. I think that my wire here, or this heat shrink here, is just not quite big enough to slide over both of these. Well, that's not good. Well, that didn't work. I think what we're going to have to do with this then is, I think we're going to have to cut this apart and redo it. Alright, there we go. We've got it, we found the right size heat shrink to run over the top of both of those. So we've got the one small diameter heat shrink tube over the positive, or the red wire, and that insulates it from the negative, the black wire, and then this big piece over top here goes ahead and protects it from everything else. So now we're going to go ahead and get this, we're going to get this all tidied up in here. But at any rate, with the, you know, with my failure there with the heat shrink, that is one of the reasons why it's always a good idea to leave yourself a little bit of extra wire. Okay, now that we have the wire spliced in, let's go ahead and get this stuff, get these wires routed and tied down. Now the last thing we have to do is take this end and hook it up to the batteries. Now you can go ahead and hook it up, because this is a 24-volt Solargizer. You can go ahead and hook it up to, you know, the positive lead of the one battery to the negative lead of the other battery, and that'll be fine. But what I have found is battery terminals are subject to corrosion. And with these ends on the battery terminals themselves, you know, they've got a better they've got a chance of getting corroded. Now on a CUCV, you generally have this battery or power distribution, these power distribution blocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the cover here off of the positive terminal block. Yeah. Always remember, make sure your batteries are disconnected before you get into this stuff. Otherwise, you're going to get a nasty surprise that you're not going to like. And you can go ahead and go to just about any one of these terminals, because these are all 24-volt positive terminals here. So we'll take our positive lead, and this all goes back to the batteries as well. So this also means that you don't have these extra two little wires hanging around when you go to change batteries or anything else like that. Now we've got the positive one on. Put that cover back on. And then go ahead and pull the cover off of the ones for the negative side. And crap, you don't want to drop it down on the frame rail like I just did, so try not to do that. But if you got to lose one of them, it's better to lose the negative one than the positive one. All right, there we go. Now let's go see if we can find where that cover went to. All right, we found it. Didn't make it all the way to the ground, but it was caught by the inner fender little deal. Inner fender cover thing. This bottom one is kind of a pain to get to because of all of the positive wires coming down off of it. All right, there we go. All we got left to do is tie these wires that come from the power distribution block back to the control box. And as you can see, we've got a nice little red light on. That tells you that it is working. Now, it is not charging the batteries right now because we don't have the negative post back on the batteries. But we will get that done here shortly. All right, now that we have all of our wires tucked in, tied down, and everything is hooked up, now we can go ahead and hook our batteries back up. So, at any rate, let's go ahead and make sure she starts. Okay, now this hasn't been started in a few days, so let's go ahead and make sure. Yep, we got battery power coming up. Wait light is on. Glow plugs are warming up. And there we go. You can see our generator gauge there. The reason why that door jar light is on is because I got the back doors open and let a little bit of a breeze through here. So at any rate, that is the basically how to install a Solargizer on a military Cuck-B vehicle. My Blazer has one on it and had one on it when I got it. I've had that Blazer for about a year, and I have been able to let that thing set for months at a time and go right out and fire it up. This truck here, if I let it set for more than about a month and a half, it won't fire. So even if I disconnect the batteries, these batteries are a little bit small for this truck, but they actually work fairly well. But now with the Solargizer on it, I should not have to worry about it. I should be able to come out to this truck after it's been sitting for who knows how long, and I should be able to fire it right back up. At any rate, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.